My name is Alan Field, and I'm a filmmaker who made a documentary called The Road to Santiago, a 500-mile ancient pilgrimage from France to Spain called the Camino. I'd only walked the Camino to meet an author called Paulo Coelho, whose books had been a huge influence in my life. But whilst I was walking that road, I began to naturally be pulled towards the Mother of Christ and to the Catholic faith I'd been baptised to. I'd met a couple of Irish pilgrims along the way who began telling me about their own annual pilgrimage in Ireland to the shrine of the Virgin Mary called the Road to Knock. My brother had recently passed away, and he had spent a couple of years in Knock recovering from an addiction to crack cocaine and heroin. When I spent time with him, I could feel the stillness of the shrine, but also feel the peace that he had found, and I felt if I walked this pilgrimage, I would come to understand a little more about my faith and even more about myself.
When you say yes to a pilgrimage, when you say yes to go on a journey, you've opened the door wide for God to intervene. So that's where the real revelation is. You've already said yes just by taking the first step.
The Road to Knock was originally a pilgrimage from Derry in Northern Ireland, which had now grown into a walk which leaves at the same time from the four corners of Ireland, from Derry, Belfast, Cork, and the road I will be taking, Dublin. It would take 5 days to reach Knock, all roads covering roughly the same distance, to eventually reach the shrine as one pilgrimage.
We didn't realise there was something extraordinary in our village, because it is unbelievable that the Lamb of God appeared here. It's just so awesome.
I came across the walk in 1994. It was the first year the walkers from Belfast undertook the walk, and it was at a time when the violence in the north was at its worst. There was a lot of tit-for-tat killings, and there was no sign of any peace coming at all. So these people decided to walk the 5 days, and they stayed in a different town each night. And they so happened to stay in the town where I'm from. I had often heard of Mass being called a celebration of the Eucharist, but I'd never experienced a celebration like I did that night. The peace and the joy was so tangible, you could reach out and touch it. And it really touched me. I think it was really an encounter with Jesus Christ. You know, it was that powerful. To see the joy on these people's faces, even after walking 36 miles, you know, with blisters and pain. So I said, whatever they have, I want some of that. Because I wanted what they had, I started to follow them. I became a stalker. You know, I'm standing here today as a Capuchin priest, and that's solely through the Knock walks.
And as you go along, that His presence will radiate from the walk. And people will, through you, begin to see that Jesus is with us, and that when things go wrong, always have the confidence that Jesus is a hand will pick you up, protect you on the roads, protect you from the weather, protect your spirits particularly. That your presence on the walk, we ask the Lord that it be a presence where you witness to others. You witness especially to young people who need to see that they can find hope in the Lord, and that when you get then finally to Knock, that He will bless you with a sense of satisfaction that you've achieved this, and with a sense of renewal that you can continue this. And the only thing I'd ask is you say a prayer for me and Knock. The blessing of Almighty God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, remain with you always. Amen.
Waking up, I feel a mixture of emotions: fear, dread. Would my body take the pains, mentally, emotionally? This feeling is only natural when you start a pilgrimage, knowing some sort of change in ourselves will occur.
Pilgrimage is something that's been part of the Christian tradition right from the beginning. We're getting out of our comfort zone to meet God, and He comes to meet us on the journey. And then it's really because life is a pilgrimage, because we're all on a journey to heaven, but sometimes we need to go somewhere else to discover things that help us on the way back home.
No plans for this walk, you know what I mean? Just luckily there's a group to follow, so I haven't had to do no planning. Good thing that I don't know where I'm going, don't know how many miles. I remember being nervous going to the Camino because I didn't know what it was, but I'm actually more nervous with this in terms of, I think because of the mileage. You think, well, it's 5 days, you know, it's going to be obviously much easier, but they're actually condensing a lot of miles in these short 5 days, whereas you're talking like averages 20s, 25 and 30 miles per day. When you're walking along Santiago, you can do 3-4 miles, stop for a coffee, rest, start again. This, because it's obviously set up, you know, it's like there's no rest. It's a continuous walk with just like little grabbing some water stops. So on here, it's like this is a raw pilgrimage. I'm not the most lover of walks, believe it or not, you know what I mean? It's like, it's one of my biggest, I'd say one of the top like 5 things I just don't like. And now I am walking, you know, most of the way across Ireland. It's like, oh, nuts am I? But I tell you, we've only been going for about maybe an hour, you know, maybe 3 miles into this very heavy, condensed walk, and I am absolutely knackered. I think that lack of preparation was a bit lazy on my part because I brought the wrong trainees, you know what I mean? You know, instead of me walking boots, we're walking across a lot of wet. I'm a whinger, I'll always moan, but... Instead of us chatting away like most pilgrims do on the Camino, hoping to make the miles and the time pass quickly, this group I'm with, the emphasis was on the rosary right from the first step. I'd always struggled to give the rosary my full attention, but I found myself joining in, and if anything I knew it would help the miles go more quickly. It's so uplifting to be walking into the towns and villages as one, showing a sense of spirit, where in some cases the sense of community has long been forgotten.
I love it. I suppose before I did it, I would have been very lost, you know. I was quite young, I suppose, when I had children. I was quite young when I got married. Just, yeah, I was kind of struggling through life, didn't really know what I wanted to do, where I was going, or what was happening with myself. And I would have been a very angry person before I went. You know, the first 2 days I was looking around all these people thinking, these are all nuts. You know, I was like, I'm not getting whatever they're on about. Like, I was like, get me out of here, I wanted to go home. And on the Saturday, I literally, the only way I could describe it was like somebody pouring water down through the top of my head and out through my toes. And every bit of anger I ever had was just gone. The support network you get is just phenomenal. Like, you know, I still have all my own friends that I had before, you know, but it's gas. I suppose for the first year or two they used to slag, you know, call me Holy Jolie and you know what, the usual crack. But now I suppose they see the difference in me, like, and they see I'm much happier and how my life is progressing, you know. So now they're looking, a few of them on the walk now today, you know.
Sore feet. Oh, that's the best thing about this trip is the smell of sweaty feet. If you'll never forget that smell. And the smell of hot soup is even better.
Halfway along the day's walk there is a short break for food, and the support team have been busy behind the scenes, preparing all this for us, to keep us fed, to keep us walking.
Came about of an idea to have a sponsored walk for the 10th anniversary of Cruccio. That had been around about 1987. Billy Doherty said, listen Thomas, forget about money. Forget about doing anything for the 10th anniversary because money only destroys things. He said, therefore, do the walk for peace. The peace that we're walking for is an individual peace. The Walk the Knock is special because it's a spiritual event. It's deeply rooted in prayer. It's deeply rooted in the Mass. We're making God the centre of it. So that's where the real revelation is. You've already said yes just by taking the first step and allowing God to reveal himself along the way.
Getting a lot more out of it than probably what most people would imagine, you can get out of something like this. I love singing, and I get an opportunity to lead some hymns every so often for the group. And I just love being outdoors and walking and with other people who are trying to, feel the presence of God in their lives. When you go on these walks, you meet people with all levels of faith. You meet people who are really strong in their beliefs. Maybe they've heard about the Camino and somebody says, well, why don't you come on it? And so they think about it, and then they get the desire one day to just give it a shot. And maybe they don't really have high expectations, but they just do it because they're curious, and maybe they come away with a real deep sense of peace.
They're a bit dead, these, like the soul's dead a bit, you know what I mean? But, wins.
I'm going with that.
Wins.
Years at it. 8 years. And it's incredible because the first year I did it was a miracle that I stayed on the walk, because I really struggled the first day, like the day, and then the second day, I suppose what got me through it was the devotion to the rosary then for the rest of the walk. And it was life-changing. So it was. And I smile, that's good enough, that's my answer. I'm full of the Spirit. Full of the Holy Spirit. I'm not always smiling at home now.
This year, and I wasn't even going to go this year. I felt good this morning when I got up to go, and felt a good spirit inside me, and first stop I felt I didn't even want to stop, so I think this is going to be a very good walk. New people, new spirit.
Tough enough for the first day. It's usually a bit of a stroll, but suppose the rain, once the rain came, made it very difficult. It could have been just as easy to jump under the bus.
No one quits. We'll push them along in wheelbarrows if we have to, Father. They'll have tough days, but they will cry, or they will use a lot of DP.
Where's my bed? Where's my bed? When we reached the last stop of the day, again the support team has been busy preparing the much needed evening meal. The beds are laid out, and a chance to get out of the day's clothes and eat together. But on all the routes it's the same. After our meal, shower, there's an evening mass before you can fall onto the bed for that much needed rest. Most of the walks have a priest who does the evening mass, who hears our confessions, and like the support team helps to feed us, only spiritually. Father Tony is the priest who walks alongside us, never missing a step. Here I am wanting to fall into bed, yet his walk continues by offering the mass for us.
Blessed are those called to the supper of the Lamb. Lord, I am not worthy to receive you, but only say the word, and my soul shall be.
I feel a real connection to the Spirit with the Mass. Yes, I'm tired, and it's so hard to sit down, never mind standing up during the service. But somehow the emotion of the Mass and the physical exertion of the day brings a serene peace over me.
Why the road to Knock? Oh, good question. The road to Knock has definitely, for me, been something that's come from heaven, in a sense. Ireland in the year of 1840 had 8.5 million people living on the island. Ireland of 1890 had 4. And that's kind of a cataclysmic event in the sense of any nation in the world has just lost 50% of its population. And Knock is a response to that pain and that suffering. So the most significant thing about Knock is the circumstances of the priest of Knock, Archdeacon Kavanagh. In 1866, he was based in the west of Ireland, right in the middle of the big impact of the famine. People are living in squalor, people are still living in mud huts. And the whole impact of that on his life and his priesthood was a devotion to the Holy Souls, because these people had died and he wasn't able to give them the gift of the last rites of the church. So when it comes to 1879, there's a mini famine again. And that's when he offers 100 masses over 100 days for the Holy Souls in purgatory. And there, on the night of the 100th Mass, is the apparition that takes place on the wall.
Our Lady came to comfort the people, and it was people's apparition.
So it wasn't just 2 or 3 people who saw the same thing, it was everybody who went past saw this vision in the rain for about 2 hours.
So it's really Our Lady's way of showing, I think, that everyone is welcome, that everyone could see her and see her family.
This is what Knock's all about. It's what the hidden fact is, never mind the apparition, is the amount of souls that went to heaven. So in many ways, I think what's really happening here on the walk, and significantly here in Ireland, is actually people are discovering Christ on the walk because he's literally here with us. And that's when they accept Christ in their heart and they find a peace that the world can't give.
Though I've got blisters, still I will follow. Though I have blisters, I'm gonna keep walking. My legs are tired, but I'll keep walking. No turning back, no turning back. Decided to walk with Jesus. I have decided to walk with Jesus. I have decided to walk with Jesus. No turning back, no turning back.
How long's the first till dinner time then? 18 miles?
12 miles.
Oh, 12.
12 miles.
So then what's that then? 21 in the afternoon?
18. So 18 miles in the afternoon. 30 miles in total.
Oh, right, okay. 30-mile day, that's all.
That's it?
Just a quick 12 before dinner. And then like a little 18 after dinner. To get rid of the belly, yeah. Alright, no problem, you know what I mean? It's an easy day today, big day tomorrow. Go on.
Lift them up forward to see. You better high and lift them up forward on the throne. I'm free. Jesus higher. Let Jesus higher. Lift them up forward to see. Hallelujah.
I'm from Yokohama, south of Tokyo. I was born and raised there, but I moved to Ireland 18 years ago. It's different sense of community compared to Japan. In Ireland, I think it's basically based on the Catholic history, but in Japan it's sort of non-religious, but there are Catholic churches all over the country, but it's very hard to get to. You can forget all the noises in the world and you can focus on yourself, but just to try to keep yourself refreshed.
So how old are you, Jim?
What?
How old are you?
I'll be 82 this year.
82 years of age, man. You know what? He's flying ahead of me and I'm back there somewhere, you know what I mean? What a man, what a guy. How long have you been doing the walk, Jim?
This is my third year.
Third year?
Yeah, this year. I'm only after coming out of hospital after 8 weeks.
No way, how long was you in?
I was in 8 weeks.
You were in 8
I think
weeks?
I had pneumonia, yeah. And my muscles wasted away, yeah.
Because when you're lying down for 8 weeks?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. So do you love it, Jim?
Yeah, I get a kick out of it, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, you're an inspiration for me. Just if I'm feeling any little pains, I'll think, look, there's Jimmy, you know what I mean?
Do you want anything else now? Load up. Is that everybody on?
There are water stops along the way, and a team are there to make sure that we get the vital rehydration, which many walkers can easily neglect. But you also get a mental boost when you see the support vans in the distance, especially on day 2, which for all the 4 walks is the biggest day of the pilgrimage. Yeah, 33 miles is the plan. And I know myself because I've done a lot of pilgrimages, that when you are left to your own devices, you know, your mind, you know, when it gets that moment, it can start to, you know, chain up all the negative thoughts of the walk. So the beauty of doing this rosary, which I find is, I haven't even thought about it yet. The emphasis on the rosary every day, you know, the 5 decades, or the 5 mysteries. You know, you've got like the glorious, the luminous, you know, the sorrowful, so there's like 10 beads for each decade, which is the Hail Mary full of grace. And I think it takes around about 20 minutes, 25 minutes to do one decade. You're spending a lot of time with people who are funny, you know, normal, bit of craziness in them, you know, and yet they've got this total powerful devotion to Our Lady. And it's like, you know, it's like, it's normal. It's normal to have a devotion to Our Lady, not like happy clappy people or something, you know, and it's like, oh, they're the ones who go to church. So it kind of, to me, it makes, see, I think my problem is, in a sense, is the ego that's been built up over the years is still being stripped away. So, you know, I might do the rosary or will go to Mass, but it's more still private for me. I'm even a little bit wary when I'm like posting something on Facebook, and I feel that needs to be stripped away to me to have total conviction of a faith. I think that might be this kind of last sort of shield that I'll rip open to go, no, I'm proud. You know, I'm proud to be a Catholic. Just like on the Camino, whenever you come to a cathedral, it's good to stop and explore. And I felt it was just perfect timing for the way I was feeling. Mullingar Cathedral was built in the 1930s. The cathedral was dedicated to Christ the King and consecrated on the 4th of September 1939. It's moments like this when I sit alone in the silence and meditate on the marvellous artwork that I begin to wonder more about Our Lady and the whole story of Christ and the Apostles, what their journey of faith was like. They too must have had many fears about the changes occurring in themselves. Even St. Peter, I know, took many years to fully accept who Christ was, and he was walking alongside him every day. I was questioning my dedication to my faith, about how much it would change who I am, and am I ready for this change so quickly? What is my fear? Is it the fear of ridicule, of being vulnerable with my beliefs? This is why I will always keep searching for who God is to me. After the cathedral, I ended up falling behind an hour, but it was worth it because I felt more spiritually uplifted. That was until the Irish rain came down in full force, and the temptation to jump into the van and skip this section was overwhelming, especially when I thought of everyone already inside, warm and dry. But like the journey of life, we can't pick and choose which section to miss out. It's the toughest part of a pilgrimage that teaches us to persevere and to just keep walking through it. Wow. You're still further on.
I felt unbelievably good all day. The weather was great 95% of the day. Just the last 5%. But even that was a blessing. And all I can say is thanks be to God. We're finished with a 30-mile walk. Unbelievable. Praise God.
Dublin. My word, this is the rainy walk.
It was absolutely flat out. No, good day. Really, really tough last 10 kilometres. Very, very difficult, but thank God. Praise the Lord for the rosary, and that's what got us on the last wee bit, because no doubt about it, it was very, very difficult walk today. We're not even halfway yet. No, tomorrow's still a difficult day, and then it's Saturday. Like, I suppose that the day is the hardest, so it gives you a massive boost. Like.
Day 3 is a little easier than the 33 miles we did yesterday, but it's still a 21-mile walk. On the Camino, you can decide to have a day of rest when you've had a really tough walk, but on this Irish pilgrimage there's no respite. You're up and back on the road.
I'm gonna let it shine, this little light of mine.
The third day of all the walks, the Derry walk, the Belfast walk, the Dublin walk, are all over 30 miles. So therefore, if you're going to be walking, you're going to be walking roughly around about 9 hours in a day. So the problem is that if you walk at a very slow pace, you'll never make it. So it's all about just focus, keeping the pace up. Because when you empty yourself out, and the whole physical, mental and spiritual side of the walk, when you empty that out, there's an awful lot of space inside for God to fill up. This is really important to understand that this is a spiritual walk, and therefore you're breaking away from the world. So when you get out and you actually start walking and you start praying, you start to empty the mind. So the biggest problem for people today in the world is they're so full of the world, it's always distracting them. Right, so they never get the space. This walk offers a space, but because you're doing the whole physical thing, you're grinding the body down, you're grinding the mind down, and what you're really doing is getting back to that point. In the emptiness is where you find the peace.
With a new day and the sun shining, I was feeling the peace again, and we came to St. Feetleach's well. The well was named after the saint who had blessed it 14 centuries earlier, and many miracles had been accredited to it. Local people believe that the water taken from this well before sunrise would cure an upset stomach or severe headaches.
Look at all the roads, there's many people here looking for healing. You know, I'm not kidding you, right, you know. It's full of moss and everything like that. That's it. You drink it? Yeah. It's for stomach ulcers, right? You didn't drink, did you? You're mad lunatic, I wouldn't drink that. We were told not to drink it, just bless yourself. No, I did. You did drink it? It's for stomach ulcers, so you stomach ulcers are on the inside. No, but you bless yourself on the outside. Here's where I drink some and get stomach ulcers. And have to come back and get it, you know what I mean? Yeah, alright.
I was involved in drugs, and I was involved in criminal activity, and I knew the road that I was treading was going to lead me to destruction. And then shortly after my father passed away, I done the Derry walk.
which was the start of the journey to an extent. It absolutely transformed my life. Something touched me, something came upon me that brought this great joy and great peace within me that I've never experienced before in my life. This was special. If anybody asked me, how did you do it? How did you do it? You didn't train for it, you weren't prepared for it. I said, I'll tell you how I did it. I said, in the first stop in the Derry walk, I said to somebody I was really struggling and I didn't think that I was going to continue on the walk. I sort of was saying to them I wanted to go home. And they handed me a pair of rosary beads. And they said, do you know the rosary? And I said, not really. So I started doing the rosary. So another stop happened and another stop. So I more or less was persevering. And I believe in my heart and soul now, if I hadn't started doing the rosary when I did, there was a good chance I could have went home. I could have went back to my old life. Our Lady has her mantle around the four walks. She's there with us. She keeps us safe on the roads. And when you have the Spirit, the joy that you will see is unbelievable. It's supernatural. The world can't give you this joy. But I praise the Lord and I thank Him every day for it. And I thank Our Lady, because without them, I was doomed to go to a very, very bad place.
There are many volunteers and families along the way who give up their time, their food, and even invite pilgrims into their homes. To think that this walk can touch so many people in so many different ways. And it's these people, these volunteers, that help make the walk that extra bit special.
I like to help them out. I like the company.
Yeah, I love the way they sing the hymns and the way and they pray the rosary. I think it's a lovely pilgrimage and they're having fun as well. And I'd love to be able to walk myself.
Yeah, we're getting a bit too old for that now.
We thank them for coming and staying with us, and it was our pleasure having them.
And ask them to pray for
and
us.
And say prayer for us.
Always.
Always. Yeah.
That's the payment.
Yeah.
6 kilometres to go, and I'm really ready to say, look, I'm sorry, I'm going to jump the van. And one of the guys said out about a rosary, and it was just like went from like the time went faster, which is great, but then again this thing I can't explain that just starts to surface in me, where I'm starting to actually come alive with the rosary and you know, sharing it with them. I'm literally, and I'm not joking, I'm not even saying this for the camera, I'm seeing Christ on the cross. Seeing nails going into his feet as I'm doing the rosary, going, wow, what's going on there? But I'm getting these like mad visions of like, wow, you know, and when I tell these people, because they've gone through that process, it's almost like a process, so you're seeing that now. You know what I mean? It's like something they know. So it's not like as if they're going, that's weird, that's a bit strange. You're going from just going, saying the rosary, to actually feeling the rosary. And that, to me, is like, one side of me, I wouldn't say the word scary, you know, but because I've got no control over it, and I've always used to having control over where I am in life and what I've gone into. And this is like, feels so much more real and so much more alive, and especially for some reason in Ireland, is that like, you know, this pilgrimage and this pilgrimage to Knock, it's like, that's the mystery. On this pilgrimage, you don't get the most comfortable of sleeps. But that's to be expected. And you can be left feeling even more deflated like your bed if it bursts. At this stage of the walk, your body is aching. You're feeling mentally fatigued. But you can't help feel this sense of real camaraderie amongst us all, no matter the number of miles we face or what the day might bring us.
Be grand today. Big 22 miler today. Be grand. Permitting the weather to be okay. We're on the home stretch now, so be brilliant. Can't wait. What's happening today?
Rubbing my calves all day.
We've got money on you to be first in today. What do you think about that?
I'd say it's good bet.
Well, if I lose me money, I'll be coming to see you, yeah?
Do, but don't come with too much hope.
It's bets on you to be last today. What do you think about that?
I'm like you are the whole way.
That's what Father said anyway.
I'm like you are the whole way. Make it easy for yourself.
No aches, no pains. Great stuff.
Sore, ready to go. Still happy.
Where are we up to on the journey?
What day are we on? Day 4, is it? Second last day, second last. We're nearly there. Get to Knockmar.
There's roads out here that we're walking today, and it's very easy to get lost. Okay. This is the day to walk in groups. This is not a day to be on your own and take a wrong turn. And the reason why today is because the backup also don't know the road. The right-hand side of the road is all marked for the walkers. Every turn's marked. Rough mileage as we go has been marked on the road as well. 2 miles is 4 miles, whatever. It's rough. 4 miles might be 5 miles. 7 miles might be 6 miles. Right. We're going to keep you guessing anyway. So in doubt, you've all got phones. Ring, follow myself or whatever, and tell us you're lost, and we'll not even know where you are.
What can you see around here?
Trees. Don't start your day talking. Start your day with the rosary, because it's like breaking the scripture. Once you break the road open with the rosary, it brings down powerful graces. The problem is if you start the day talking, you'll talk all day. If you start the day praying, you'll pray all day, and you'll have the blessing of God upon you. And the prayer is badly needed, okay? You'll never, ever know the blessings you will receive if you pray for the Holy Souls. And when you pray through Our Lady for them, everything is multiplied. God and Our Lady are present. They're listening to every word you're saying. It's the mystery of the walk.
Lift Jesus higher, lift him up for them to see. Hallelujah. Lift it up from the earth,
After Thomas's talk about starting the day's walk in prayer and to offer our prayer for the holy souls, I'm suddenly reminded of the holy souls of my own family, and especially my brother. As in life, we can easily become selfish by always asking in prayer for something for ourselves, like help with our daily struggles, whatever they may be. I never gave it a thought that these holy souls would need praying for, only praying too. We usually pray for someone when they're sick or dying, but not after their passing. And I now realise this is the time they need the prayer the most.
So I think faith is it's a very important thing, and those who have it can't keep it to themselves. We're not trying to push it on people, but we want people to know that it actually is better for everyone to believe in God, to believe in a power that's greater than ourselves, because the human spirit is not satisfied with anything that this world can offer. I mean, you can have the nicest house, you can have all the friends in the world who build you up, you can be very talented and very educated, but really nothing in this world lasts forever. And the only thing we know that lasts forever is our desire to live forever. So we have to decide if we're going to live our lives for just what we can feel and touch, or if we should really maybe aim a little higher. And so that's why religion is there. It's not there to put restrictions on us as much as it is to give us a sense of hope that there is more than what we can feel, than what we can see. That, you know, love does last forever. Love goes on beyond the grave. Love is stronger than death.
I was suddenly overcome with emotion, stopped in my tracks when I began thinking about those who had gone too soon, but mostly my brother, who had died just a few months before I came on the walk. The road just seems to throw these emotions at you when you least expect it. And as I approach the final part of the walk, my brother seems to be constantly on my mind, which is adding to the difficulty of the walk.
You know, you're all like happy and skipping along, and it was just really, nearly broke me. Until, like, you know, you kind of meet up with a few of the others, like Thomas, and it's like, you know, just keep praying. And Olive was just like, well, you know, don't let it get you, because this is, you're doing a spiritual journey. And I just hope that at the moment, that, like, this faith and this power of, like, well, why would we deserve it? So many obstacles that happened, but, like, it was just so almost demoralising at this point. And I'm kind of reflecting, thinking, well, it is like, this is the emotional side in the Camino. You kind of know it's in 4 weeks. This you kind of don't know in the 5 days, and it was like the lowest blow I could have felt. You know what I mean?
We have a hall in the next town and have had it for the last 7 years. We have it booked for 4 months. Made a phone call about 2 hours ago. Hall cancelled. No accommodation for 25 men. They've got everybody to pray. So now we've got a large community house in the same town, about 100 yards away. Didn't even know it was there.
But the whole process to how it happened is... there you go. There. That was the process.
I was explaining to Alan just that's the battle that we've been on for the last 14 years walking from Dublin. We have battles in every town and every situation. You see, when they're spiritual, they seem innocuous, they seem sort of, it's just coincidence, but it's not. It's a real attack on the walk itself. What we know now, just they turned it to prayer, and it sorts itself out.
Well, the pilgrimage really kind of speaks to the heart of that, right? Why do you walk a pilgrimage, right? So why do you do this? Same reason. I mean, honestly, when you learn more about God, you do things like this. You know, you exercise Christ-likeness to the best that you can, and you find God in the middle of it, you know. And all these people, they all exhibit Christ in one way or another. So, yeah, if you had to sum it up in anything, we find more of God. I believe God smiles. Smiling today.
Well, thank you for that.
Well, you're very welcome now, and of course.
And we know we're not here by chance. We know that God has directed us here.
Yeah. Come now.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. What? And get some tea. Get some tea. Ah, yes.
Legs hanging. Yeah.
Been a long day.
A long day of driving.
I done a bit of walking too, didn't you?
I done. We drove back to get the car. Like, it's unbelievable. You think I actually walked that today. You know?
Yeah, you don't realise how far you're going when you're in the crowd.
You know what I mean?
So we went through 3 days of rain and partial day rain all the time.
Today was the best day. There's not much traffic on
Today
the road
was
either. There's no
so
traffic on
gorgeous, the weather. The sky was beautiful.
Great scene, great views.
Yeah.
So free.
A few cows, some donkeys too.
Some donkeys.
I like the donkeys. They were cool. The donkeys.
There's not many of them left in Ireland.
Yeah.
I once was lost, and now I'm even more lost.
Yeah, it's not about distance, but it's a good feeling to achieve and go beyond it. I feel sometimes I feel alone because of work. I have to work alone or whatever. But I am very, very delighted to be in a group like this and come to the same goal together.
Even with a major problem occurring with the cancelled accommodation, it was staying positive with the power of prayer, which suddenly provided us with an amazing alternative. Yet another local person who understood the values of helping pilgrims along the way by opening his own doors. I wonder, could I be so generous to open my own doors to one stranger, never mind 70 odd strangers? On the last night we shared a meal together in a nice restaurant, a sort of last supper. The atmosphere is a little solemn as we know the end is nearing. Then it will be back to the reality of life.
They closed down Ellis Island in 1943. 17 million people had gone there for sanctuary. And in summer, springtime, when I came here and I stepped onto its piers, I thought of how it must have been when you're only 15 years. I love hope, I love tears, I love freedom, I love fears, but it's not the isle you left behind. That isle of hunger, isle of pain, isle you'll never see again, but the isle of home is always on your mind.
It's the final day of the pilgrimage and the mood has lifted. A feeling of jubilation, even relief. Knowing we are nearing the end of a goal, which seemed so far away on that first day. Even the pains of the body can't stop this feeling of joy.
In his hands he's got the teeny tiny baby. In his hands he's got the whole world in his hands. He got you and me, brother. In his hands he's got you and me, brother. In his hands he's got you and me, brother. In his hands he's got the whole world in his hands.
Newcomers is gonna love this rest of the walk.
And how important are you? You're the core of the Dublin Walk, as we all know.
What?
I say you're the core of the Dublin Walk, and what you bring is something very special. Know what I always say about Paul? This man needs no introduction.
No, he doesn't.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain.
Captain Lovejoy.
Could you please all now fasten your seatbelts? There's going to be a bit of turbulence.
The very first walk I've done was 14 years ago. When I first came in, and I didn't know what I was walking to. And when I thought walk, I thought it was like going from here to the shops in Blanchardstown. That's what I thought the walk was, you know. So I was all dolled up, dicky bow tie, black jacket, shoes. This is the way it happened, right? Shoes. Where the heck am I going? Where am I going? I'm walking to Knock. Where's that? Where's that? Yeah. So I started walking up and I went, I'm walking. And I kept walking and walking. And the further I got up, the further I realised like I had to go all the way with my shoes on me. So my shoes had to be cut off me. And all the blisters, and I was in bits. And I mean, I was in bliss.
For Alan, they moan. He hasn't moaned today once.
It's a miracle. We've got to call it a miracle, is it?
It's absolutely a miracle.
It's a miracle on this walk.
I only know 4 days now, I know it's a miracle already.
We are still, a good few miles away from the end, so if you convince yourself you're more or less finished, that's where you can do yourself a little bit of mischief. You know what I mean? But I think the silence coming to the end of a pilgrimage, no matter how long, I think that's when you do go into more of a silent, contemplative mode, because it is coming to the end. So that's my reason for not talking, but I'm really stunned for why Thomas isn't. Just wondering if he's got a sore throat or if he's not feeling too well, you know.
Just, sometimes, you know, you're doing the walk and it comes to the Sunday, everybody relaxes in the morning, they take their eye off the ball, but we're still walking 13 miles in 4 hours. You've got to keep the pressure on. So there's many people who do the walk, and if they start talking, they're actually in the next town. Their mind is in the next town. They want to be there. Whereas the most important thing is to be right here now, because God is speaking to us right now. And the people that we're along with right now are the people that we're meant to be with.
I used to feel that the Catholic faith was for an older generation. Many of the young ones had seemed to have lost interest, but there are more youth-led organisations now in the church, and to see them on this pilgrimage gives me hope for the future of our faith.
So what's it like walking with your dad?
Slow.
Cheeky article. You're meant to be nice, I'm here beside you.
I'm inspired by an 11-year-old girl, you know what I mean? And I walked with her and I had the pleasure to. And they were saying, Alan, can you look after her? But listen, this is no joke, we're all too precise. She was looking after me. Do you know what I mean? Or looking after each other, but in the end I was so glad that they took her off the road because it was getting late, because I couldn't keep up with the pace.
Because it's something that we just do naturally together. It's just something that we wouldn't miss every year. She's kind of right, well, when's the walk coming up, you know? Are we getting ready for the walk and making sure everything is prepared and ready for it? What's your best bit of the walk?
It's coming closer to Christ and meeting everyone and making new friends. Because, I mean, we're walking for 6 hours or something a day, and we pray during those hours, and we're also going towards the church, and yeah, it's just like taught me a lot more about him, Christ.
The walk from Cork has been fantastic. There's been 7 of us, 3 doing backup, 4 walking, 2 fellas, 2 girls walking. There's a good spiritual bond with us. The Spirit is working within the 7 guys and girls that's there. Of this small number, we're sending out that the Lord's been with us, Our Lady's with us. Come and join and walk with us as well.
Feeling
very good in the head and sore on the feet.
Yeah, no, I'm not too bad. Just delighted to have got this far, and I'm looking forward. I've never done it before, so I'm not quite sure what's happening when we get into Knock. Be lots more fun, I think, and prayers. And a lovely, lovely mass, I'm told.
Give all your glory, glory, rise and shine, and give all your glory, glory, children of the world.
At our last water stop 2 miles before Knock, we wait and come together. A sort of small celebration of achievement for reaching this point. Then from here we will continue our walk together, with no front or back markers, just as one group.
I'll just show you my toenail, you wouldn't believe it. It's been like this now a few months, but you see, my problem is I'm a diabetic and I'm worried about my feet. Not so bad on the boots, but my shoes, it's hitting the front of my runners. Yeah. Now, do you see the way it's moved? Look, that's new.
Let's see, Lily.
See? It's moving out. I'll cut that now and it'll keep going forward. And every time it touches it, or it could be doing that. It could be pulling her away that way. You know? Yeah. I'm pretty brave, haven't I?
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee.
On this final stretch before joining up with the other groups, Belfast and Derry, we begin a final rosary. Normally we've said it in small groups or even alone as we walked. Maybe some might not have done it at all, but doing it now as one feels so special. The power of every prayer resonates within me, every emotion. Yes, I have suffered the loss of my family this year, but I now know I've gained a new family. The closeness and the love on this walk is truly the most powerful thing I have ever felt. Nothing can prepare you for the meeting of all the walks, the sheer joy and happiness of everyone here. The meeting of friends, some you know, and many you don't know, but all sharing that common bond together in what we have achieved, regardless of what road we have walked, from Derry, from Belfast, Cork and Dublin, or what hardships we faced, or what differences each walk had presented.
Yes, I am, yes, I am, I'm the temple. Yes, I am, yes, I am, I'm the temple. I am the temple of the Holy Ghost.
To think that over 30 years ago, a couple of guys from Derry dreamt of walking a pilgrimage for peace, for their country, with complete trust in Our Lady to show the way. And now every year there's hundreds gather from the four corners of Ireland to celebrate together as one walk, together as one people, regardless of age.
In the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus, leaders will have to free. Lift Jesus high, lift Jesus high, lift Jesus high. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Where would you get this? You know what I mean? Where would you get this? That's all I'm saying. It's like, if people are on this walk, surely they're in the faith or at least thinking about it, so they shouldn't have a problem with, you know, everyone's in love now. Holy Mary, Mother of God. I've been to music festivals and cup finals, but nothing can compare to this atmosphere. I walked alone into Santiago, which was perfect for me at that time, but it now feels more complete to reach this holy place with so many others beside me, to share the moment together. There are the fair share of pains with a pilgrimage, the suffering inside and out. But then once you reach your goal, those pains are usually forgotten. But walking inside the basilica after this walk, to experience the adulation from the crowd here, the people in wheelchairs, suddenly the pain instantly leaves through humility, and your body feels renewed. It just makes the hairs on your arms and your back stand up, you know what I mean? I'm telling you now, you've just forgot about anything that's happened on the walk when you walk through there, do you know what I mean? It's like I'm just totally... Before the final mass, I wanted to pull away alone, to wander about and to connect with this place, to feel the presence of Christ, of Our Lady, to feel the presence of my brother Paul. The shrine itself is rebuilt. There's a more modern look to it. But there's still an old piece of the gable wall that still exists. I still get a sense of the history, a real sense of the holiness of the place. I begin to remember the last time I was here kneeling in prayer. It was beside my brother. He struggled with addiction for most of his life, but it was here that he finally broke free of it, and I know it was the Holy Mother that helped him. Although his body gave out to the years of abuse, his soul had finally found peace in the last years, and for that I am truly thankful for this place and to Our Lady.
I think a shrine is a place where people can connect with God, and people come to knock for all kinds of reasons, but I think they're hungry for God, for love, for truth, and for meaning. And if you ask me to sum up knock in one word, it's hope. When they come to knock, they find silence, they find peace, they find something that helps them to connect with God and to discover that they're loved, and that brings hope. And whatever our state in life, wherever we've come from, whatever mistakes we've made, whatever ways we've messed things up in life, there's always hope if we come to God, because the Lamb, Jesus, is the center of the apparition, and he takes away the sins of the world, and he comes to love us and to show us that we're loved by God and to bring us to heaven.
To understand a little bit more about the history of Knock, I knew I had to make a visit to the museum, which is on the site of the shrine.
Initially when Knock happened on the 21st of August, that's all that was there, was the old church.
So the first thing the early pilgrims did was to circle the church. The other thing, of course, then is going on pilgrimage is all about movement and journeying. So even people walking sticks and crutches is lovely. So this is the Children of Mary, and it was a huge religious organisation, you know, at the end of the 1800s into the early 1900s. And if you were part of the organisation, let's say you wanted to go to Mass every day, you wanted to visit the sick, so they had these kind of blue cloaks that if you remember you wore them kind of for special occasions, all from all different parts of Ireland.
This reminds me of us.
Yes,
but
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
there's all these women doing this. It's like, oh, we're not doing nothing, you know, new here. I mean, you're looking and look at the shoes. You know, we're wearing all the comfy walking boots and look at. She's wearing clogs. Look at them, not the old wooden clogs.
Yeah. Amazing, isn't it?
Oh my word.
That's 1970s. So.
How am I ever going to cry about my feet again? And then, there's this lady wearing like Amsterdam type clogs, you know what I mean?
Once the apparition happened, the first cure was reported about 10 days after it happened. And it was with a little girl from Claremorris who was cured of deafness. And we know in great detail what happened because her mother was interviewed in a newspaper. So in the early days, people walked, you know, with walking sticks, crutches, hundreds and thousands of people. Once they heard about that cure came, hoping to be cured.
And that was within days?
Yeah, and so when they came to Knock, the two big things for them to get at Knock were some of the stone and mortar from the gable wall and also Knock holy water. And people over the years have great belief, I suppose, in the healing properties of Knock holy water. And, you know, everybody who comes to Knock, very few people go away without it. This is the old church. And this is what we call the gable wall. You can see this was taken a few months later where you can see the wall was made of stone and mortar wouldn't be quite as strong as cement. You can see the way the mortar was chipped away from between the stones where people came with their hammers and chisels. So then parish priests at the time boarded up the lower half of the wall just to protect it, and you can see a close-up of this one here, but just showing the walking sticks and crutches that were left. Again, you can see the holes left by that. So then the wall was boarded up, and then later on it was plastered. And this one is an amazing one too. It just shows some of the early pilgrims, where people were dressed with the shawls and the hats.
I just keep looking at this guy and he's looking at me. You know, I'm like, what's the camera doing here? You know what I mean?
I mean, in 1879, just one professional photographer in County Mayo.
Now I knew more about the history of Knock, I wanted to pay my respects to some of the visionaries' graves, to the people who are just as important to Knock and the apparition, as they were witness to this powerful moment in history. Judith Salmon, she died at age 36, not long after the apparition really. So she was how old? She was like, what, 20, she was 18. She was 18 when she seen it and then dies like almost another 18 years later. What strikes me first is there's no grandeur to the graves, just simple markers. It feels like they're almost ignored to some extent, compared to other parts of the shrine grounds or witnesses to other Marian shrines around the world. Although there's something special about them being, you know, they've got that oldness about them, but, you know, having to jump over graves and whatever to sort of get to somewhere. And I think it's just going to be a real blessing the time they do get round to it. And just makes me feel a little bit sad, that's all. But when it is finally done, maybe, you know, then there's something, like you say, just a walkway or a historical plaque.
Well, my grandaunt was married to Dominic Byrne, one of the visionaries, Nora Murphy. Now, on my mother's side of the family, she came from Ahamore. They had a bog up in Mealtron, that's in the parish of Knock. And her father, who was 14 years of age at that time, and that on the evening of the apparition, he saw a brilliant light and he went home to wash or whatever. He mustn't feel comfortable about coming up to Knock. And when he came up, it was over. Wasn't it a pity? My father was always talking about it, and he truly believed in the great miracle of Knock. And he told us many stories that his parents told him about the time of the apparition, that the church was left open all night, And the crowds of people that came, there'd be a sway in the crowd inside. There were so many people. They said as well that people saw lots of images over the altar in the parish church. We didn't realise there was something extraordinary in our village. And it was only later then, as I grew up and got older, that I began to think about it. Because it is unbelievable that the Lamb of God appeared here. It's just so awesome. The reason Knock is so important when people come now, it's the only place in the world where the Lamb of God appeared. With St. John the Evangelist, with Our Lady, and with St. Joseph. So people say that when Our Lady came to Knock, she brought the whole family. It was to bring people to Jesus so that people would believe in him. Because she's our mother and she wants all her children saved. Because, you know, Our Lady's greatest desire is that we get to know her son. Because she's like any mother that has a son wants everybody to love him like she does and get to know him.
When you finish a pilgrimage, it's almost like it's like an aftershock. Okay, it's like, you know, you don't actually really feel. You feel elated because you've reached somewhere. You feel the tiredness drains out your body because it's like your mind says, okay, you know, I've kept going, and so you just wanna sleep or rest and whatever. But it's after that rest occurs, that's when I'll start to feel the peace and the joy of what I've done and the achievements, and then just this movement is what I want to take away, is movement towards faith, towards prayer. I've realised the importance of, you know, if you start the day in prayer, you'll finish the day in prayer. It's an incredible feeling reaching Knock, but yeah, obviously it's just another step on the journey. Not only like what you've achieved to get here, and it's such an intense walk, again, even though it's only a short walk in terms of other pilgrimages that's out there, but it's so intense, painful, you know, all the accumulation of all the different emotions and the joy and the laughter, you know, that's what carries you. So in a way, in your faith, it's not all about doom and gloom and, you know, and you know, I'm a sinner and so on. And it's like, this pilgrimage just taught me that it's joyful. The Lord wants you to be joyful, and that joyful then would attract more people who want what you've got. Hopefully, and praise God that I will continue. In fact, you know what, I won't even hope. I know I'm going to continue. I'll never stop. This is my life. This is who I am. It's what I am. Faith is important to me. And I know the difference, what's behind me when I didn't have faith. Okay, so to have faith, what's in front of me is going to be so much easier to face.
You are Son of God and Son of Mary. Christ have mercy. Christ have mercy. You are Word made flesh and splendour of the Father. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. And may Almighty God have mercy on us, forgive us our sins, and bring us all to everlasting life.
The emotion, the atmosphere within the church is so powerful. The singing, the music, the gathering of so many people with love for each other, for Our Lady, and for the love of Christ is something I have never experienced in my life. And I know it's something I want to keep experiencing, regardless of what road is walked, as long as the focus stays on the prayer, on the rosary, and always on Our Lady.
I just want to thank everyone who's here, because without the Walk the Knock, my life wouldn't be where I am today. I have some special friends for life, and that's what the walk's about. It's about growing in Christ, with your friends and your family, taking it home and taking it with you, just putting it in your back pocket and bringing it out when you can, and work or wherever. As I said, the Walk the Knock has given me so many friends, and the most special friend I have is Ferguson, and we've been together ever since 2008, you know, and we had our ups and downs like the Dublin road to Knock. Before I go, I just want to ask her one question.
It's about what brings you on the pilgrimage. It's about you choosing where you decide that going on that pilgrimage is going to bring you closer to God, closer to yourself, to know yourself, how you react around people, how you react to pain, and how you react to, you know, putting yourself through emotion every day. And then ultimately, when you complete that, and when you achieve that, when you reach that goal, hopefully you've grown. And that to me is, you know, everyone should go on a pilgrimage, break yourself away from the routine of life, and, you know, live out a rucksack, sleep on floors, you know, you're so used to the comforts that you break out of those comforts, and it just makes you appreciate what you've got, but also, as I said, makes you appreciate yourself and your surroundings and other people. You know, now is my time to start showing conviction in my faith. It's been very quiet and secretive to myself. It's to be celebrated for myself, to say, you know, keep walking, you're getting to know me. And that's what I'm seeing with all these walkers there, and especially the people in Ireland, that they walk with a conviction with their faith.